Ever wondered what it's like to work in the apparel and fashion industry in Chicago? How a designer started their brand? Or what a production workroom looks like? Then join us as we go for a visit. Today we're visiting with Jenna Blazevich of Vichcraft.
Hi! Welcome to my studio. Come on in. Well, my name is Jenna Blazevich. I've been running my business Vichcraft in Chicago for almost 10 years. I'm a letterer first and foremost, and I've applied my lettering designs to a lot of textile art, specifically with chain stitch embroidery, but also to stained glass and to installations in different group shows and onto a number of products that I sell in a physical shop in Chicago. My interest in fashion started when I was pretty young, I suppose. I was able to take some classes in high school that were clothing construction classes. So when I was a senior, I made my prom dress and I won some high school level awards for making that and for making some jeans. So at that point, it was a very obvious choice to study fashion in college. But when I went to college, I took my first art classes, and I'd never taken a drawing class. I'd never taken any sort of design classes. So that sort of opened up my world in a way that became very confusing. And ultimately, in my second year, I changed my major to graphic design. So in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense because a lot of my work is applied to wearable pieces, and I have an interest in fiber arts and things, but I wanted to have a foundation in graphic design first and foremost, and that kind of has led me to be able to have a handle on those kinds of fundamental design principles, but then apply them to wearables. Not exclusively, but you can definitely see how there's fashion and graphic design kind of happening. So yeah, fashion design from a young age, bit of a weird period, and then now we're like, yeah, of course, it's all of it at once. I actually worked my dream job right out of college. Really a weird set of circumstances that led to me being able to do that, but it was my dream to work for this packaging design agency that does a lot of hand drawn lettering and illustrations on products that are mindful of the environment and kind of encompasses a lot of the things that matter to me as a person. So when I was finishing up my degree, I was like, I want to work at this place someday when I'm older. That's my goal. And so I was able to work there kind of in like a contract to hire intern kind of a way, which don't work like that, but I did briefly. And I kind of was able to see what things were good about a job like that and which things were never going to be quite perfect. I guess at an early age I was able to have the rose-colored glasses be kind of removed kind of early on and realize that there is no perfect dream job that's going to kind of check all the boxes for a specific individual. And so through having that experience and also having had experiences freelancing up until then, I did a lot of freelance work doing like wedding calligraphy and little graphic design jobs here and there. I kind of realized that if I wanted my dream job situation, I would have to create it myself. And so I started Vichcraft at the end of 2014, which was 6 or so months after graduating college. And it was a whole set of unknowns. There's no point-toable person in my life or family that I was modeling my business after, someone who's been an entrepreneur or anything like that. So I just figured if I wanted to ever try it, doing it when I had less at stake, when I was younger, was probably a better idea than waiting until I had some qualifications that are kind of made up. So that was almost 10 years ago. And I'm really glad that young me said, let's go for it, because there is never a good time. It's always just an opportunity that you give yourself to learn as you go. So yeah, I'm So a typical day for me, I like that there isn't really one, because I guess, the kind of creative person, which is, I guess, pretty common. I'm the most inspired when I'm able to toggle between a number of different projects, from hour to hour, from day to day. So I do like to get into the space by 10 a.m. or so. Um, Ideally, I would start with emails, but sometimes I just let those hang over my head for the day and tend to them later. But in an ideal situation, I would tend to those first so that I can get some quality, multiple hours at a time done on whether I need to work on the chain stitch machine on something, or if I'm shipping orders, then I'll tend to those. My store is right across from the post office, so that's convenient for me to be able to bring any jobs that need to go out into the mail just over without having to make a special trip of it. And yeah, there's definitely, I think I'm good about taking breaks and moving from getting some like quality undisrupted work done, and then giving myself a half hour or so to take a walk or call a friend. Sometimes I bring my pet birds into the store, which is really chaotic but also fun, because that can mix up things too, and they love to interact with everything. But yeah, it's I think I work best if I'm able to have maybe like four or so things that I'm trying to tackle in one day, and then I can sort of decide which thing is the best use of time from one window to another. My workflow for like 15 years has been using a moleskin journal and just keeping a series of to-do lists that are pretty much short term, like for the day, and long term, both for my business and for my personal practice and life. Long term, I guess there's kind of two ways to look at it, because some of them are like, I would like to redesign my website within the next 3 months, but long term could also mean by Friday I need to finish this or that. It works well for me. I'm still rocking with a paper and pencil with a to-do list, but I also have come into the realization that I also need to have something like a Google Calendar thing that I'm just kind of doing a digital to-do list, where if someone is coming into the store and they need something to be stitched to be picked up tomorrow, I need to digitally put it in there so that I get the reminder. But my workflow is planned out in a paper and pencil kind of way, and that works well for me. I think it's true for a lot of visual people to be able to have the output of writing it down and then the experience of crossing it off like physically. It just makes me feel like I'm more in tune with what I'm doing and what I need to do. Okay. Work-life balance, I just try to like give myself grace and understand that that's all going to change from day to day. Sometimes there's something happening personally, like a loved one is sick, or there's always something to be concerned with in the world on a personal level that might affect my ability to be creative. Being able to give myself the time to go for a walk outside, meet up with a friend, those things are really important for me to be able to stay in a good relationship with my work. But it is, always just a matter of like staying malleable and realizing that anything can change. It all kind of balances out, because there's also windows of time where I'm able to take more inventory for things, and that would be the time of year where I would maybe be able to update my website or make better plans for the future. But it is always spinning a lot of plates when you're running your own business. So I wouldn't say work-life balance is always on level 100, but I'm doing my best. I think a lesson that I have learned and continue to confirm in a lot of ways is that it's really important that you share the kind of work that you want to do more of and you want to be associated with. Really early on, that was difficult for me when I was starting Vichcraft, I had a really big backlog of different projects that I was proud of, but I didn't necessarily want to be hired to do, which feels really confusing. It's kind of like killing your darlings kind of thing, because as an artist, I was proud of those things, but I wanted to focus on a specific subset of kinds of projects that I wanted to be known for and do more of. Yeah, I find myself using letterer, like lettering designer, most often as a way to establish that that's the umbrella that everything falls under, because I think that helps people understand like how this all comes together. Because otherwise, this is all, everything that I've ever made with Vichcraft is just stuff that I like, and these are bands that I'm inspired by. These are mediums that I've wanted to learn, but it is all lettering related, and a lot of it also is conceptual work that is trying to like provoke thought about social issues that matter to me. But yeah, sometimes someone was like, oh, you're a modern crafts person. I was like, well, I'm not really gonna be saying that. I don't know, because it's not quite it, but it is, but also it's not. And yeah, I'm a chain stitcher, but I'm not, like that's not my only identity. I do find that to be difficult, and sometimes I just sort of give up. That once I got my chain stitch machine about 6 years ago, I've had to be really mindful about making sure that people know there's a kind of way that I prefer to use this machine, but there's also a lot of other facets of my business that I'm still interested in, and I still want to be woven into my portfolio and what I'm known for being able to do. And those are all things that I'm in charge of, and it is a continued practice to kind of edit and curate what my output is and what things I'm proud of, but I choose to sort of keep from my public kind of representation of my work. So it's not so much a lesson, but just a continued practice, I think, to make sure that I'm best in control of what other people are, understanding that my business is specializing in. Yeah. Classes, and my teacher for sure was like, oh, Jenna is the kind of student that like takes her projects home and like really wants to learn more about this. So yeah, we've gotten coffee and stuff over the last like decade to be like, hey, look at this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. She's really sweet.